Bill Supply, now the most advanced and comprehensive end-to-end ERP and procurement solution for real estate and construction industry. I want you to tell us about how your journey began as a cost estimation software, and now you morphed into this procurement solution on an e-commerce basis for the industry.
Sure. So, I think it was less of a morphing into a procurement solution. We always had procurement as pretty much the end goal. When I started the company, for the first 12, 18 months or so, we did a lot of R&D around. We started with a very simple hypothesis. We said technology can really help change, a lot of what is happening in this industry, and it can create a lot of value. And the way the industry function, as you rightly pointed out, is very archaic. The adoption is very, very low in terms of technology. People are not very, open to technology as such, because, they've been doing business the same way for, donkey's years, and they don't want to change. So we started with that idea that, hey, let's use technology to basically change some of this that happens. To do that, we spent a fair amount of time initially just kind of digging into the actual processes with some of the very large companies in the country, like Godrej Properties and Embassy and so on. So we spent a lot of time with them understanding really how the process works, where the pain points were. And we said, before we build a procurement portal, we need to first address the process issues. So which is why we ended up building essentially what is a workflow automation tool. Right. So as you pointed out, it does estimation, it does budgeting, it does procurement, obviously, of everything, contract, services, materials. It does post-award management in terms of really looking at the, physical progress, financial progress. So it's a comprehensive end-to-end tool. And with that, we got a very fair, good understanding of, where the issues in procurement were. And on the back of that, because, initially when we launched that back in 2019, we got very good traction very quickly with some very large names. And then we realized that, now we have a better understanding of what people need. So now let us go and do the procurement side of it. So that's what's been the journey for us. It's always something that we had in our agenda from day one. We just went about it in a different way, where we built the software first and then the procurement.
But tell me, when you rolled out the process for these companies, what was it that they could not do on offline, which they found facilitated with online purposes? Because this industry has been very, most reticent in actually making the change towards technology.
Absolutely. So, pretty much everything that our software does is essentially things that people are doing offline, right? So they're whether using Excel spreadsheets or they're using WhatsApp, emails. So it's really just a process that's completely offline. And as a construction project is a collaborative, effort. I mean, there are literally, 20, 30, 50 stakeholders involved in every construction project, from the contractors to the vendors to the consultants to obviously the promoter themselves, it's really, all of these different stakeholders are almost working independently without really having an understanding of what's going on. And there is a lot that gets lost because of that. It really causes a lot of time delays. It causes inefficiencies in the process. I mean, like, put it simply, think about it a simple way. Contractor did some work on the site, and they finished the work, they raised the bill. Now there's a billing engineer on site that needs to basically certify that bill first. For the next 3-4 days, the billing engineer sits on it. Then the billing engineer sends it to the project manager and says they have certified this. Then the project manager sits on it for 4-5 days. Then the project manager sends it to the procurement team or whichever is the team that is managing the contract, and then they sit on it. From there, it goes to accounts. And then from accounts it goes to finance. So by that time this bill fully gets approved and the contractor gets paid, it's already like 30 days or more. In most companies it's actually more than, it's almost close to 45 to 60 days is what we've understood. Now, using our system, this entire process can essentially be a real-time process, right? So the minute the contractor raises the bill, everybody in that ecosystem gets to know, okay, boss, bill has been raised. Because what happens is when the contractor doesn't get paid on time, they basically stop the work or they delay the work because they also have a certain amount of working capital that they can deploy. So they just slow down the work or they'll stop it. And you'll never know this friction, or you know it after the fact, right? So having a system like ours basically, expedites that and takes away that friction in the process.
So you married the process of giving them a full-blown process to their immediate needs of actually conducting the procurement exercise.
That is correct. That is correct. And
So
it's not like we've invented something new. We've taken what the processes were, they were in offline. We've brought them onto a cloud-based platform, which is basically a collaborative kind of way where everybody can access it from their phone, everybody can access it from their laptop, and perform whatever role that they are designated to perform.
However, the procurement, whole process still remains to be unraveled in the sense that there are so many checks and balances that a company contractor uses in terms of defining the various vendor specifications, and then they see sampling, then they physically want to see it, etc., etc. How do you beat that with this?
So again, the idea is not to beat it, right? The idea is to make that process more efficient wherever we can. Right. So we're not saying that throw the way the work you've been doing the work, throw that out and just, do it some different way. It's the exact same process, the exact same way the work is being done, but now it is being done much more efficiently and much faster because of a collaborative cloud platform and because of the automation of the workflows themselves. Right. So the physical kind of, identifying of the samples and approving the samples, that's not going to go away. Right. And I don't think we want to kind of take that away either, because that's kind of inherent to the process. But everything else that can be automated should be automated, right? There's no reason for us to do it in an old-fashioned way anymore.
Okay, so assuming that obviously that we are bridging this gap, and where is the margin in the process? I mean, because of course construction processes traditionally have been very, very inefficient, and that way there is a lot of margin because there's lots of wastage all along the way, and streamlining that itself should be providing. So how does your model come in this process?
So, I mean, that's exactly right. I mean, you just, pretty much pointed out the entire kind of structure of the business, that doing all of these things, there is a lot of friction, there is a lot of wastage, there is a lot of delays. And anytime you can help save time and cost, right, in construction, there is value that is created for all stakeholders, right? So we are just saying that we are helping you create that. So we will take some of that value from you, whereas net, you'll still be much better off. Right. So, I'm helping you save cost, I'm helping you save time. And I'm actually, that's only the first part of it. Then I'm bringing the entire vendor ecosystem onto the platform also, right? So yeah, maybe you are, think about it from a procurement, guy's standpoint. In a typical construction project, there are close to 5,000 SKUs. Okay. Now, let's say even, the top 10 or 12 categories of building materials constitute about 60-70% of the cost. Now, in each of those categories, that procurement guy needs at least 4 to 5 different vendors, right? So at any given point, that poor chap is managing some 60-70 vendors, and that's just not humanly possible to do it effectively, right? So, and even if you have a team and you have multiple people, which even some of the larger companies have fairly small procurement teams, because procurement generally has been an afterthought, right? So now people are realizing the value of what a good procurement process can bring, but historically that's not been the case. So what we do is we provide that entire ecosystem available to them at a click of a button. So it becomes kind of a one-stop shop. The other thing you have to understand is that each of the building material categories themselves are fairly verticalized. So if there's a vendor who's doing steel, he's not going to be doing kitchens. A vendor who's doing kitchens is not going to be doing ready-mix concrete. So, but dealing with someone like us, they get everything under one umbrella, right? So the procurement team can pick up the phone and call us, or go to our platform and basically figure out pricing and all of that very quickly, right? So it changes the whole approach for them. It changes the dynamic for them in terms of how they manage their process. And that's value that we bring to the table. And initially, what we found is, even with some of our large customers, initially there is a little bit of resistance. Yeah, this is something new, we don't want to do it. But literally within a month or so, they realize, yeah, this is actually adding a lot of value for me on a day-to-day basis. So they actually then move from there to kind of utilizing it much more effectively.
So when they go to procure, see these things on an e-commerce, the challenge was always, and as we've discussed across the industry, is that you may want to buy one item of something which is one unit, but the pricing changes as you define your total order quantity, and that requires something that's not on a rate card. That's when generally people talk to each other and sort of get, okay, this is the quantity, this is what we can do. How does
Right.
that happen here?
So, I mean, those problems are very easily solvable, right? I mean, these are not very difficult problems to solve, frankly, because first of all, we only deal with enterprise customers, right? So we are not really dealing with an individual home builder or with a small customer or a small contractor. Typically, almost all of our customers have, turnovers of 20, 30, 40 crores plus, right? So they're generally more organized, a little bit more organized, I would say. And then they have an understanding of that if I have to buy in this month, these are the quantities I need, and those are the requirements that they come with. And the technology actually makes it much easier for them to basically input their requirements and essentially get a very quick understanding around pricing and all of that. I mean, will that physical kind of one-on-one negotiation part, will that all go away? Absolutely not. At the end of the day, before placing the order, they'll still pick up the phone and call us, but that's okay. But at least we smoothened out a big part of the process.
So does your model work on, I mean, how do you get the revenues? From which, the vendors or the procurers?
The vendors. So basically we are just, essentially we are, effectively the seller of record. And, we basically manage the supply chain, and our goal is to reduce the cost as much as we can for our customers, managing that supply chain, basically.
And the delivery responsibility rests with the vendor?
No, we take over all the responsibility. We take the logistics, the delivery, everything.
So stocking again becomes your concern? Inventory?
Everything is our concern. As far as the customer is concerned, they should just be able to pick up the phone and call us, boss, I need this amount, this time, this price, or whatever the price negotiated is on this site. So the rest, we manage everything.
So are you accountable to the customer, unlike Ola, Uber?
Absolutely. Absolutely, we are. Yes.
So tell me.
So in that sense, we are not like a traditional marketplace. We are actually much more of a kind of what we call a managed marketplace model, where we are responsible to the customer.
Okay. So can you tell us what is the total fund size that you've raised so far on your project?
So we've raised close to about 35 odd crores so far. Yeah.
And planning to expand more?
We are in the market right now for that.
And what kind of a GMV are you all doing?
So we are roughly at, our run rate is at about 70 crores a year, 75 crores a year right now. And then, we're ramping up pretty fast.
So what would be the sort of total sale value of all the products that you all do?
75 crores. Yeah, that's what we did in the last year.
And that would come from how many customers?
We work with now pretty much a fairly wide variety of customers. I would say with overall customers, we've done about 35, 40 odd customers that we've worked with in the last 12 months, because this business is relatively new for us. But we work with all the top logos in the country. And, we also we were primarily based in NCR right now, but we are obviously looking to expand into other markets. That's going to be the next step in this coming financial year.
And in terms of a geography, where is the better response that you are getting? Because I'm just trying to understand where people are more friendlier.
So we've only done the procurement business in the NCR, although our software business is national. So the software side, we work with developers across the country, and frankly, we found everywhere, a fair degree of receptivity on that. I mean, we have some very large companies as our customers. Embassy in Bangalore is a great customer. Panchsheel in Pune, DLF here in Delhi, Emaar in Delhi, and then even national pan-India players like a WeWork or Oberoi Hotels. These are all our customers. So they use our software pretty much across the country in terms of their projects.
Which material is most in demand in terms of, like they say 20% gives you 80% of the business?
So, we focus on only the top 5 or 6 categories, which basically amount for about 60-70% of the business. So you have steel, you have ready-mix concrete, you have base building materials like aggregates and all that. We do kitchens, doors and windows, so on. And so it's basically the big bulk items, which are the high value, high cost items.
I did see some small items also entering, like consumer oriented items, of course, used in construction. Is there any plan for that?
Yeah, I mean, that's something, we keep adding. If you go to our portal, you will see that we now have close to about almost 60, 70,000 SKUs listed on the portal, right? So, even stuff like you need for construction side, you need hard hats, you need shoes, so those are the kind of things, anything and everything that makes life easier for our customer, right? We managed to put on. Plus, because we've now gotten to a good scale, we are also getting interest from a lot of manufacturers that come to us and say that we want to list on your platform. So that's also happening a lot. And so we obviously, for us it's fairly easy, because onboarding a supplier literally is like less than a day's job.
So Samir, you've got the cost of pickup also, storage, delivery, inventory, isn't it? So do you get adequately compensated from the vendors on this?
Absolutely not. I mean, as far as my customer is concerned, I'm passing on all that to my customer. That's why they like us. But we are hoping that as we scale, more and more, eventually we will be compensated for this. Amazon didn't make any money on their shipments for like the first 10 years of their existence, right? So we're not, obviously at that scale, or even when they were at the beginning. But that's the goal, is to keep creating the larger universe of suppliers and buyers. So eventually, the cost advantage is really for the customer.
So right now, what the loss that you might be bearing will be on account of the vendors who are actually benefiting due to your services.
Everyone should be benefiting, right? My vendors should be benefiting, and my customers should be benefiting. Otherwise, why would they want to be with me?
Okay, so it's an unreal situation right now for the vendor in that sense, which you are giving them.
No, I don't think it's like that great of a
At a certain scale, you will start matching it.
Yeah, I think it's I think the advantage from a vendor standpoint is that they get access to a much bigger market also, right? So we deal with some of the largest companies in the country, so they do get access to a much larger market as well, and I think that's a very significant advantage.
Do you see any thumb rule in terms of project costs that people would allocate to software and services through software that they can invest in? And would that be actually the budget really going towards, your services, which they would then, of course, utilize?
So globally, that number is around 3% of project cost. In India, I would say that's less than probably, 1/10 of 1%. It's very, very small. Right. So traditionally, we've not been a very software receptive business. And frankly, in India, people don't like to pay for software. So for us, it's still early days, I would say. But I think eventually, even if people are spending less than 1% of their project cost, but they're saving, 5, 7, 10% of, the project cost, which is what I think these softwares can help you do, then it should be a very, very easy choice to make for customers.
So what are plans, Samir, now in the coming 21, 22? And before you say anything on that, can you also tell me that whether COVID has been able to help you expand this or explain this better or convince more people?
So I think definitely the digital adoption has increased because of COVID. No question about that. I mean, initially, in the first wave, the first couple of months, obviously everything shut down because of the lockdowns and everything. But once things opened up, I think people realized that, hey, this is an easier way for me to doing now that I'm not really going, meeting my vendors, or I'm going out and doing any of that. This may be better way to do that. And I think the same thing has happened now. Also, we've started seeing, April and May were pretty slow months. But in June, we suddenly saw a pickup in terms of the usage as well. So I think, I think that's a given, right? I mean, just the situation we are in, because of the lockdowns and because people don't want to venture out as much, that's really the most logical thing to do.
What are the plans ahead now in the coming couple of years, apart from?
Yeah, so I think, we're pretty focused in terms of what we are building. We are in one major market right now. We would want to expand to pretty much all the major metropolitan areas one by one. So I think that's going to be essentially our approach, is to go into each of these markets over the next few years.
And what do you see as the scope of this business in terms of transactions, what kind of a transaction value can such a business do?
I think it's massive, right? I mean, if you look at the, kind of the total size of the construction market, I mean, you take real estate, you take infrastructure, it's really almost 15-16% of the GDP overall, right? And majority of that is in urban areas. Take out the infrastructure part, even most of the infrastructure is in urban areas. So it's a massive, massive market. I mean, the question is that how much of, so let's say the market is somewhere between, the total construction volume every year happens is around 250 to 300 billion, right? And materials is 70% of that at a minimum, right? So that's almost somewhere between 170 to 200 billion dollars of materials that get purchased every year. Now we're talking very, very small numbers in terms of the percentage market share here, and you could build a very large business out of that, right? Even at a 1% market share, you are like a $2 billion top line business. So I think the scale and scope is gigantic. It's just, I think it'll take time for this market to kind of create that kind of scale.
How many people do you have on your team, Samir?
We are now about 50 odd people, yeah.
So great. Thanks for connecting, Samir. I think it was good talking to you, and all the best for your aspirations.
Great. Thank you for having me. It was great catching up.